Hello, hello. In today's scripture discussions, I want to talk about what is that paper? What is it, man? This big thick book and what the Bible is. I think what I've experienced to be are this evolution of people's abilities for think thoughting, and God continually pulling them forward and being like, no, more inclusive, no, stretch your love, forgive, come on, you guys, you can do it. The Old Testament, you have some stories that are just horrific and they're brutal, but at the same time, the miracles of the Old Testament, I think, are when all of a sudden the writer is talking about a God of a steadfast love, and that it doesn't matter wherever it is that you make your bed, in heaven or hell or wherever you are, God is there. And God being the great I am, all of a sudden you've got these little trickles of this beautiful light that would not have been a major part of the human lived experience at that time. And the thing is where we speak our think thoughtings from is from our lived experience. So I think the miracle of the Old Testament is that there are these stories of beauty and these stories of light and these stories of slow inclusion of people, and it's all told from the underdog. The story's told from the people that are not in the power, but the people underneath, and all of a sudden it's Jesus who blows the lid off of everything and says to love everybody and to forgive everybody, and to this entire different operating system of living. And so the New Testament brings this explosion of think thoughts that is completely different than what society was used to. And it's going and spending time with the people that society wouldn't even touch. And if they did touch, they were seen as unclean. And so Jesus shows this a completely different way of life that so many of us even struggle to live today. And the thing that Scripture, it's always liberating. Scripture is always something to be read for liberation. And you've got people that are writing from this place of liberation and from God and from light. And then all of a sudden that same person will take a couple steps back in their own lived experience and write something. And you're like, okay, that makes no sense, because it doesn't. So where we are called to be is reading it from a place of liberation and that which sets us free. That's the lens, reading all of Scripture through the lens of Christ and love. And I like today's first reading where they're saying to go to your upper room, which is beautiful, because in order to see from this place of love and inclusion, we can't have our think thoughts trapped in hatred or anger or finger pointing or just buy these things and then I'll be happy or whatever it is, or if and when. It's a totally different way of being where we're able to be here and now in this moment and let go into love, a completely different way of being. And so whenever Scripture talks about they went to their upper room, they went to a place that they went beyond the mind that they were used to thinking with, to be able to have a new perspective, and a perspective of light and beauty and love, and inclusivity. And what I want to mention in this one is I can imagine them writing this. They went to their upper room and these people were there and those people were there, and I imagine Mary being like, hey, the women were there too, write it down, write it in, put it in there, we were there. And then the writer being like, oh, it's fine. Okay, yeah, some women were there too, because even in that time, women were seen as nothing. Women didn't be a part of leading movements and such, except for when it came to Jesus. And so even those disciples in their writing, you see this slow opening, even St. Paul, he's writing some things and you're like, what? And then all of a sudden he's like, no height, no depth, no nothing can separate you from the love of God. And there's no longer Greek and no longer Jew and no longer male and no longer female. There's just Christ. There's just love. And so, beloved, may you live in that. May you live from that system. May you open your heart to looking at Scripture of this place of liberation and freedom and love for people that are learning how to be differently in their lives, just as we are learning to be in our lives from a place of love and inclusion and grace, which is a free gift for absolutely everyone. And yes, I am Sheena. I am a woman, and I am posting this, and I'm up in my upper room. So write that down. Peace.